Zekel. An Oak story. This story is a work of fiction. The continent, the events and the content of this book, Oak and all characters, are the intellectual property of the author and are not intended to represent any country, person or event in history. Any similarity between any of the works of fiction found within and any person or event is purely coincidental. Copyright 2022, LP Cowling. 1. Unrest. The city could burn down at any moment. The chaos could devolve into death and disaster with any tick of the clock. The state of things had been madness in the city for some time now. There was always some kind of civil unrest, and the general tone of the city and surrounding towns and villages seemed to be getting more volatile by the day. Ever since a member of the guild had gone rogue and decided that he'd seek power through an ancient blood magic ritual, the general consensus had been that magic, which was such a crucial part of everyday life, was suddenly something to be feared. The man in the grey cloak didn't use magic every day, and he wasn't particularly tuned in or educated on it like so many of his colleagues and associates. He only used it as most people did. To get from one place to another as quickly as possible, or to have some tedious service or problem solved by someone who actually had taken the time and effort to delve into magic. It was said that your bloodline had some influence on how attuned you could be to the various applications of magic, especially tamers. It wasn't possible for someone to become attuned to taming magic through long study, as the affiliation with taming magic had been restricted simply to birth and birth alone. But today, the man in the grey cloak wouldn't be using the city teleportation services to get from his one place to the next place. Ever since the general tone around whether magic improved lives or was somehow related to some heathen dark god had shifted for the worse, people become much less willing to use the teleportation services. It had become quite a civil danger to be seen engaging in anything unnatural, and year by year, only those either desperate or heavily politically inclined were seen using those services. The man in the grey cloak was neither particularly desperate, nor politically associated with the factions that labelled the rogue guild member a single lone wolf outlier, or a race of people that were entirely dangerous and not to be allowed in modern society. Zekel was polishing the mechanism that fired the bolts from his crossbow to a high sheen. Keeping it well oiled, polished and clean of viscera was key to the piece's performance. If you let the catches or latch fill up with gore, then it'd let you down at a key moment, and more than likely some miserable creature would stick you with something pointy or bash you with something heavy. He looked down at his reflection in the mechanism. It wasn't fair. How was he getting grey streaks in his dark hair already? He wasn't even that old. His bones didn't ache when he leapt out of the way of some harpy's claws or a hawkman's hammer. He looked weathered today, as there'd been a lot going on, and his hair had begun to reflect the internal turmoil of the times.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?